Welcome to another episode of Quietly Brave HQ, research-based audio overviews, powered by Pratik.
So today we're looking at a mechanism that is fundamentally changing how we experience our daily lives.
Right.
We often focus on these big external systems, markets, technology.
Right, the things out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this research turns that lens inward. It looks at why so many of us find it so difficult to just sit still. The sources are calling it the dopamine trap.
It's interesting you call it a trap because when I was reading through the material, it felt less like something you fall into and more like, I don't know, a new climate we're all just living in. There's this very specific feeling described right at the beginning that I think almost everyone will recognize.
And how do they describe that feeling?
They call it the paradox of plenty. It's that feeling of waking up in a world where we have access to more entertainment, more food, more information than ever before.
Objectively, things are very stimulating.
Very. And yet the feeling isn't satisfaction. It's a kind of low-grade fatigue. You feel unmotivated, a little restless, sort of flat?
That flatness, that's the signal. The whole argument here is that this isn't happening from a lack of something. It's happening because of an excess. Our brains are, they're being quietly rewired by the sheer volume of everything.
We're just adjusting to expect more, so we end up feeling less.
Precise.
The research had this thought experiment to show the scale of the change, and it was really effective. It's about a time traveler.
Right, the child from the 1990s.
Yeah.
It's a great baseline. The 90s feel familiar, but from a biological standpoint, it was a completely different era. If you took a kid from, say, 1995.
So pre-smartphone, pre-social media.
Exactly. And you drop them into a normal Tuesday in our time, their nervous system would probably just go to shock.
And it's not just about the phones themselves, is it? It's about the density of it all.
It's the density. Think about what that child would see. Videos that aren't just playing. They're algorithmically engineered to grab your attention every few seconds.
Food that's designed to be irresistible.
Hyperpalatable, yeah. And social interactions that are gamified, measured in likes and views.
So to that kid, it would feel like a constant, never-ending fireworks display. Just total overload.
But here's the unsettling part. To us, it doesn't feel like a fireworks display.
It just feels normal, like a regular morning.
And that normalization is the evidence of the rewiring. The fact that we don't feel the intensity anymore. To get why, we have to talk about dopamine, and we have to be really clear about what it is.
Okay, because I'm definitely guilty of misusing the term. I think of it as, the pleasure chemical. I eat a cookie, I get a dopamine hit.
That is such a common misconception. The research is very clear. Dopamine is not the pleasure molecule. It's the anticipation molecule.
Yeah.
Its job isn't to make you feel happy with what you have. Its job is to make you pursue things.
So it's the engine, not the reward at the end.
It's the chemical whisper that says, hey, that thing over there, that might be important, go get it. It drives curiosity, motivation, all of that seeking behavior.
That makes so much sense. It explains why you can scroll for an hour and not really enjoy anything, but you still can't stop. You're just chasing the next interesting thing.
You are hunting. You're caught in a seeking loop.
Yeah.
And this is where the trap really starts to close. The brain is all about balance, right? Homeostasis.
It wants to stay stable.
So what happens when you flood a system that evolved for scarcity with, well, an environment of infinite triggers? What happens when you ring that go-get-it alarm bell 1,000 times a day?
The brain has to protect itself somehow.
It does. The analogy the research uses is like turning down the brightness. If you walk into a super bright room, your pupils constrict to filter out the light.
Okay.
In the same way, if you flood the brain with dopamine triggers, it down-regulates its receptors. It literally reduces the number of places for dopamine to land.
So, in simple terms, the brain just gets less sensitive.
Yes. It adapts by lowering the volume.
And the implication of that is huge. It means things that used to be exciting now just feel normal.
Yeah.
And things that were normal, like reading a book or taking a walk, start to feel unbelievably boring.
It's not that the world lost its color. It's that your brain has recalibrated to expect neon lights everywhere. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation.
I think the coffee analogy they used makes this so clear.
It's the perfect example of building tolerance.
Right. So you think about your first ever cup of coffee. You probably felt a real jolt, alert, focused, maybe a little jittery.
A definite boost.
But then you start drinking it every single day, and pretty soon, that one cup doesn't give you a boost anymore. It just gets you back to zero.
You need it just to feel normal.
Exactly. You're not getting a superpower, you're just doing maintenance.
And that is precisely what's happening with our digital lives. But instead of one cup of coffee in the morning, It's like we're hooked up to a constant IV drip of espresso.
That's a pretty scary image.
It is. But think about it. Social media feeds that never end, screaming shows that autoplay, instant messages, one-click everything. We're not getting occasional rewards. We're swimming in them.
And if you're always swimming, the idea of just standing on dry land feels wrong. Which brings us to this idea of frictionless design. Because I think we tend to blame ourselves for this, right? I have no willpower.
When in reality, this is all engineered. Deeply, deeply engineered. These platforms are designed to remove what they call friction.
And friction is just the pause, the little obstacles.
Yes. In the analog world, friction was built in. When you finished a chapter in a book, you had to physically turn the page. That's a moment of friction. A TV show would end, and you'd have to wait a whole week.
Those were stopping cues, a moment for your brain to catch up and ask, do I want to keep going?
And now, the next video just plays. The feed just keeps scrolling. There was no bottom. There are no stopping cues. So the dopamine loop just stays open. We just keep searching.
There was a case study in the material, the story of Maya. And I have to say, reading it, I felt so called out.
It's a very familiar story. Tell us what happens.
So it's late, 10:47 p.m. She's tired, ready for bed. And she thinks, I'll just check my phone for a minute.
The famous last words.
Right? Just a minute. And the algorithm just pulls her in. A funny clip, a travel video, a success story. None of it is bad content. It's all very engaging.
High-density stimulation.
Totally. And the next thing she knows, she looks at the clock, and it's 12:13 a.m. 90 minutes are just gone. But the part that really got me, it wasn't the lost time. It was how she felt after she put the phone down.
What was that feeling?
The research says the silence of her own room felt strangely empty and too slow. Her brain had just been on this high-speed roller coaster, and now dropping back into reality felt jarring, almost depressing.
That is the dopamine hangover.
Yeah.
It's the contrast. The real world, with its normal, slower pace, just can't compete. It feels gray and quiet after the digital noise.
And it followed her into the next morning. Her coffee didn't work as well. Starting work felt incredibly hard. Her brain had just recalibrated to that high intensity.
And it's so important to say this isn't because Maya is lazy or broken. It's because her nervous system is working perfectly. It's adapting to the environment it's in.
Which raises that really unsettling question. If our baseline for stimulation keeps rising, what does that do to our motivation for things that are actually difficult? This episode is an AI-assisted audio overview based on structured synthesis.
And that question of effort leads directly to what the research calls the motivation paradox.
This was the part that felt so counterintuitive. You'd think with all this motivation chemical flowing, we'd be more motivated than ever. But the research says it's the opposite.
It does seem backward. But you have to think about it in terms of what I'd call bioeconomics.
Bioeconomics. Okay, break that down.
Your brain is constantly running a cost-benefit analysis. How much effort for how much reward? In the real world, effort comes first. You climb the mountain, then you get the view.
But in the digital world, the reward is instant. There is no mountain to climb.
Precisely. If the brain can get that hit of novelty with a simple swipe of a thumb, why would it ever approve the energy budget to do something hard, like deep work or learning a new skill?
So it starts to see real effort as irrational, a bad deal.
From a biological standpoint, yes.
Look.
Why pay a high price for something you can get for free right here? This leads to a very specific emotional state they describe as being overstimulated and underfulfilled.
Busy, yet strangely unmoved. That phrase really stuck with me.
And the symptoms are often really subtle. It's not some big breakdown. It just looks like chronic boredom or a constant low-grade restlessness, an attention span that feels shorter and shorter.
It's that feeling that something is missing, but you have no idea what it is. And I think the impulse is always to seek more stimulation. I'm bored, maybe I'll check another app.
Which just feeds the cycle. You're trying to cure the disease with more of the poison. The trap isn't the pleasure itself, it's that the brain stops being able to even notice it.
Okay, so let's talk about the way out. Because the research is actually quite hopeful. It's not about throwing your phone away and moving to a cabin in the woods.
Right. Total withdrawal isn't realistic or even necessary. The solution is about awareness and what the research calls restoring contrast.
Restoring contrast. I like that phrasing. It's about finding balance, not quitting.
It's about reintroducing periods of lower stimulation so the brain has a chance to recalibrate its sensitivity. If you want to see the stars, you have to turn off the city lights.
And the steps they suggest are so small. Like, for example, just going for a walk without headphones.
That's a huge one. We are so used to layering our experiences. We walk and listen to a podcast, we cook and watch a show. This is about just letting an activity be itself.
Another one was eating a meal without a screen. That's a hard one for a lot of us.
It is, but it forces you to tune into just one sensory input, which lowers the overall volume for your brain.
And then the big one, the one that I think terrifies people, just allowing yourself to be bored.
We treat boredom like it's a failure state. But boredom is when the brain's default mode network comes online. It's where you process things, where you have ideas. If you eliminate boredom, you eliminate that crucial internal space.
But the research warns that when you first try this, your brain will fight back.
Oh, absolutely. It will feel uncomfortable. It will feel too quiet, just like it did for Maya in her room. You'll feel that phantom itch to grab your phone. It's basically a mild form of withdrawal.
But if you can push through that, they promise something amazing happens. Your sensitivity starts to return.
Ordinary moments start to regain their texture.
Yeah. The coffee tastes good again. A conversation feels fully engaging.
And it's not because the world changed. It's because your nervous system recalibrated. You turn the brightness of your own perception back up by allowing for some darkness.
It's just so empowering to realize this isn't permanent. It's a calibration issue.
It is. Which brings us to the final sort of philosophical question the research leaves us with. It asks, what if the reason nothing feels extraordinary is because too much feels ordinary?
That one hits hard. If everything is cranked up to a 10, then nothing is a 10. A simple sunset just can't compete with a viral video if your brain is tuned to the frequency of the video.
Exactly. What if all the excitement and joy we're looking for was never actually missing? What if it was just drowned out by the noise?
So the goal isn't to get rid of dopamine. It's essential. It's about respecting our own biology.
Respecting that we have, Stone Age brains living in a world they were never designed for. A meaningful life probably isn't a constant fireworks display. It needs quiet. It needs space.
It reminds me of that last line from the source. The way back to feeling alive is not through adding stimulation, but through rediscovering contrast.
That's a whole thing right there. If you want to feel more, the answer might actually be to do a little bit less.
You just let a moment be a moment.
Just let it be. And you might be surprised by how much color was there all along.
Thank you for listening to Quietly Brave HQ, research-based audio overviews powered by Pratik. Until next time, namaste.